I've known for a few weeks now that I was going to talk today on love. So I've been thinking about it a lot. And after last Sunday's service, I was out walking around and I had this epiphany about what I wanted to talk to you about today. And I had another epiphany about the epiphany, which is how incredible it is that I get to have epiphanies that then you guys show up, so I get to tell you about them. And no, thank you. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to do something that is just so important to me and so enriching for me that it's beyond my imagination. I am humbled by the fact that I get up here and talk to you each week. So I just wanted to share that. So I had this epiphany on love, and it's this: that unconditional love may be a state for some guru sitting in a cave someplace or something, but for the average Joe, it's an event. For us, we have this event, and I think it's misunderstood about unconditional love, like it's some special thing separate from conditional love, as if love isn't love. And we experience love in our lives and want to more all the time, and what makes a moment unconditional or conditional is whether it's attached to a condition or whether we're just feeling love in that moment. Whether we're giving, receiving, expressing, feeling love. That what we're really going for here is just having more of that. I mean, whether it's conditional or not, I want all the love I can feel. And what I notice is the more love I experience in life, the more unconditional love pops up at moments I least expect it. I mean, that's the beauty of it. Unconditional love being an event, and if we think about it as an event instead of this state, which I'm saying might be possible to reach. I'm not there. I've never met anybody who's there, but I'm open to finding somebody, and I'm open to getting there myself. So I'm open to the possibility, but in the meantime, the practice is in the events. Sometimes Ash and I are arguing. I know that's hard to believe that happens, but we're having this argument, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the argument, she will smile at me, and there will be such love protruding from her in her presence and being. And I know some of you have had that experience with her when she smiled at you. Right? So you know what I'm talking about. She just exudes this love, and it just shifts everything. And how can you be mad at somebody who's doing that? Right? It shifts everything. It kind of pisses me off sometimes because I wanted to be mad. No. Well, yeah, but you know. That's a moment of unconditional love. It shows up in a moment where the conditions are not conducive to the love. That's all unconditional love is when it shows up when the situation, the conditions are not conducive for it, and yet you feel it anyway. And so the idea is to develop more and more how we can get to practice more and more feeling that love. Right? The more we can do that, in conditional moments even, then the more we get to feel it and bring it forth in practice, because once you recognize that love is love is love, and the more you feel love, the more life's enjoyable. I mean, right? When you're feeling that sense of love and your heart's open, isn't that like the coolest thing ever? I mean, wouldn't it be fun to be in a state like that, like all the time? And so, but it takes practice, right? Like I was saying, how I don't experience shame anymore. It took practice. It wasn't just something that poof happened, you know? And so I've been reading these ancient texts on Zen. And I discovered something that I did not know at first, which is whenever it talks about an event as something that happens in these koans that I'm reading, where all of a sudden the monk is enlightened, it's not a permanent state. They make it very clear in these texts that it's an event, that then that same monk has to practice to get to again, that he has an enlightened moment, not that all of a sudden he's in an enlightened state forever and ever and lives happily ever after. That's romantic, right? I've heard people talk about all the different kinds of love. There's romantic love. Well, the romantic love is how we look at unconditional love and romanticize it like it's this something that needs to be attained rather than something we experience almost every single day. I mean, if you have kids, right, you experience, they act out and they do all this stuff and you love them anyway. Well, that's a great place to notice it until they're teenagers, and then it's not so easy anymore. But you know, we do our best even then. And so there's this practice that we can see as an everyday, in our everyday life experience, as opposed to something that's like airy-fairy up here, hooey-wooey, and that's what we're going for. It's like right here in front of us as we are experiencing life. Just this week, something happened early on in the week that really pissed me off. And I, instead of reacting to it, because I'm in the practice of wanting to be a kinder, more compassionate, loving person, this is my intention, this is my practice, that's what I want. And so I sat with it instead of reacting to it. I reminded myself of who I want to be in this. And because I practiced it, it shifted in me. And I remembered that I love this person. And so by the time we got together and actually talked it out, I loved this person. And it was an easy conversation because we were just loving on each other. That's what's possible when you get into the practice of it, right? I had somebody tell me just the other day that I am a much less of a jerk than when I first showed up to Canada. And I thought, that's great. I'm doing good. That's what you want, right? To be less of a jerk, to be more loving, to be more kind. That's what I want. That was my intention. And so that's what I work on. And then I get to hear that. My wife tells me all the time how much more loving I am in our relationship. And I feel it, right? I can feel it. It just expresses through me. I'm so in love with life, with you, with everything. It just flows, and it makes it all so much easier. You know, there's a saying that if you love your work, you'll never work a day in your life. Took me 97 different jobs to figure that out. But now that I've gotten here, it's true. I don't work. This is all play. This is all fun. This is amazing, you know. But that would be conditional, right? Because it's conditioned upon I finally found the job. You think I care? I'm feeling all this love. I've been going after it. So whether it's conditional or not, I'm a happy camper. One of the things that I am addicted to, I have addictions, and this is one of them, is my wife sitting on my lap on the couch. She sits on my lap, she leans into me, and we just sit there in silence, hugging each other. And if I don't get that fix at least once a day, sometimes twice, I'm jonesing. I look for that. So it's conditional, but I don't care because I love feeling the love. Right? And it's a practice, right, in just recognizing this is what it feels like to be in love. Don't you want to be like this all the time? And I say to myself, yes. Why, yes, I do. And so then I start pulling it into other areas of my life. Now, here's the thing about love that makes it sometimes not so enjoyable. It's when it gets entangled. It gets entangled with need, to where all of a sudden, you're saying I love you, but what you really mean is I need you. Am I the only one who's ever done that? And so then love doesn't, it's not, it's when it gets tangled up like that, then it's not, it doesn't feel so good sometimes. And so the idea is to get into your awareness enough to recognize the difference so that you're not telling yourself, not lying to yourself, that it's love when it's need. If you can recognize the difference like I do about Ash sitting on my lap, I recognize that when we're together, when she's up for doing that too, when we're in that mode together, well, then that's love. But when I'm jonesing, then it's a need. And I can recognize the difference. And I invite you to do the same. Because then you won't be like, love hurts. Love doesn't hurt. Not getting your needs fed hurts. That's what hurts, not love. Love is simply an expression, a receiving, a feeling. It doesn't hurt, it feels great. It's really enjoyable. Or how about duty? Duty's another thing that gets very tied up in love. So we feel like we have this, since I love this person or I love my family, I have this duty to fulfill. And I'm not saying don't do that or whatever, but I am saying notice the difference. The duty is not love. You may think this is how I'm expressing my love, but if you are in a sense of duty, the odds are that's going to lead to a sense of resentment, and that's nowhere near love. Right? When we're in duty, we tend to overextend ourselves, and then we're just pissed off. Or am I the only one? And so it becomes real important to take a look and be able to separate that out and go, wait a minute. I heard a story this week. Somebody was telling me that when their dad was on his deathbed, he's in his 70s, and he's on his deathbed talking to his 50-year-old son, and he said, the dad says, I never enjoyed my life. I never enjoyed it. It's not that I didn't love you or your mother. It's not that I didn't want to express it, but the only way I knew how to express it was through duty, was to be working every day, working hard, making sure you had a roof over your head, making sure you had this and that, and I did not enjoy my life. And I don't want that for you. I want you to enjoy yours. So please don't follow in my footsteps. Right? That's an incredible realization and an incredible lesson for all of us. Make sure that your love isn't tied up in your duty, or you could have your life pass without having joy. True love has joy, a lot of it. It's incredible what's possible when we're in true joy. Which is true love, A pure joy and a pure love are the same. That's what it feels like, conditional or not. The only thing that makes love unconditional is if you're feeling it and it's not attached to any of the conditions going on. Then it's unconditional. It's that simple. And then the other thing that gets in the way is our uncomfortability. I notice that sometimes I say to somebody here, I love you, and I can see the look on their face. I can see it makes you uncomfortable. You might want to check in about that. What makes it uncomfortable when I say to you, I love you? Because I do. I feel it. And you may be uncomfortable because you're going through something like, well, you don't really know me. I saw this great yard sign. It said, I love you. You might be saying, love me? You don't even know me. Well, people hate others without knowing them all the time. So what makes love so much tougher? This is the thing, right? But yet it's true. I mean, it's true because I watch people get uncomfortable with me saying, I love you. I listen to them kind of stammer back, see you tomorrow. My brother. Thank you, see you tomorrow, or see you next time. For years, I've been saying at the end of my phone call with my siblings, I love you. And most of the time, they just say, hey, see you next time. My brother, one closest to me in age, just recently started saying it back. I noticed the difference. Just recently started saying it back. But if you want to experience moments of unconditional love, it starts with yourself. It starts with looking at, am I uncomfortable when somebody says they love me? Like, what's going on with that? And just opening to, maybe I could breathe this in. Maybe I could breathe it in and feel it and receive it. And maybe I'll feel love enough to express it to back or to somebody else. I'm not asking you to express it back. I'm asking you to notice how you're doing with your own uncomfortability when somebody you don't know very well says they love you. Because that's where the shifts can happen for you. When you let it in for yourself. How are you with yourself when you do something that you're not happy with? Do you take that moment to love yourself? I have this, when I'm really feeling down on myself, I have this imagery I do with a pool, lake. I like a lake more than a pool, of love. And I immerse, actually it's a pond. It's not that long. It's a pond. It's not as big as a lake. It's smaller. It's only me going in it. And I immerse myself in the pond and just feel it around me, Just feel the love surrounding me and take it in. And I just relax into it. It feels so good. We have the ability to be in that state as often as we can remember to do so. It's a practice. It's a practice that when we bring forth into our lives, is your intention to be a kinder, more loving, compassionate person? Because without that intention, you'll never remember the practice, right? The intention has to come first. I have the intention of being a kinder, more compassionate, loving person. And so that keeps showing up because that's how it works. Whatever your intention is, that's what's going to keep showing up. So you got to decide for yourself what it is. But I just want to share with you that it feels amazing to be in a state of feeling this love as often as I do. with you, with my wife, with the world. It's like, it's just with myself, with my work, with what I'm doing. It's like the love is like there all the time. I feel surrounded by it. And the reason I'm speaking this way about it is I'm amazed. I didn't expect this. I didn't see this coming, to feel this way in my life. I never saw it coming. I didn't even know it was possible. I held that it was possible to feel this way about each and every day, to feel this way about my life, to be loving things so much. So I'm amazed and humbled by it. I mean, I'm just so moved by the possibility for all of us, because I want this for each of you. I would love for each of you to experience this kind of love in as many moments as I do, or more. God, more. Take it past me. Say, tell me you've reached that state. Yeah, baby. Next week, I'm doing a ritual, a love ritual, specifically an unconditional love ritual, where each of you will have the opportunity to receive and give and express unconditional love from everybody else. And so bring your friends, bring yourself, show up. You want an experience of what it feels like to be just showered in love? Next week would be it. I won't be doing a big long talk. It'll really be about the ritual. And it will be beautiful. So I hope you join me for that. I'm really looking forward to it. We have this in our hearts, in our souls. It's right here all the time for each and every one of us to experience what's this love in our lives, in everything we do. Maybe not all the time, but more and more of the time. And that's really the key, right? Better is better. So what we're shooting for is not perfection. What we're shooting for is more. More love. To experience it more of the time. And the more time you experience love, the more it develops that it shows up in time. That's my experience. Any skill you develop, you'll get better at, including expressing, experience, and receiving love. That's a skill you can get better at. And I'm right here knowing you will. Each and every one of you here. Each and every one of you. Thank you. I love you. I love you very much.